Americans have a reputation around the world for being loud, obnoxious, and aggressively self-interested. But what happens when Europeans actually spend time in America and discover that almost none of what they've been told is true? If you want to see more videos exploring real cultural collisions, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because what we're about to unpack challenges everything you thought you knew about cross-cultural travel.
The people in America are honestly some of the nicest people I have ever met. I'll tell you a few.
The first thing that catches European travelers off guard isn't the size of the skyscrapers. It's the friendliness. Not performative service industry smiles, but authentic warmth from ordinary Americans in ways that baffle visitors used to Europe's more reserved social norms.
So I've just returned to the UK from a wonderful trip. I'm super lucky. I've been away. But it's that fear back to the reality of the UK that makes the return so bad because, on arrival back, so I flew into Stansted.
A Swedish tourist documented their first week in the American South and found themselves repeatedly shocked by complete strangers. Walking through a small town, a local shopkeeper didn't just help them find what they needed. They invited them for a beer after their shift, offering genuine friendship to someone they'd never met. This story repeats across countless traveler testimonies. A German couple's rental car broke down on a Texas back road. Within 15 minutes, a local had stopped, fixed the problem, and driven them 40 minutes to the nearest parts store without asking for payment. They simply helped, because that's what you do. What's happening is that American culture operates on a fundamentally different assumption about strangers. Where European social norms emphasize respectful distance and privacy, American culture assumes people generally like each other and want to help. A Dutch traveler who spent a month in the Midwest was invited into homes by people they'd met at gas stations. Not as customers, but as guests. Families invited them to barbecues and Sunday dinners. The sheer openness to including a stranger in intimate moments would be unthinkable in most European contexts. This friendliness connects directly to material abundance. Walk into an American gas station, and a Scottish visitor found themselves startled by the sheer quantity of free offerings. Free water, ice, bathrooms, air for your tires.
As a European in the US, I just love how people I've never met call me like sweetie and honey and sweetheart. Because I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am sweet. How did you know? That's all that I've ever wanted to be. I don't think my own mother calls me that. In Finland, it would be very invasive to call somebody a sweetheart that you don't know. But honestly, I love this for Americans. I love this.
American supermarkets and public spaces are designed with an assumption of abundance. There's enough space, enough product, enough customer service. When you're not worried about scarcity, you can afford to be generous with your time and attention. Compare that to European minimalism, and you get two different psychological states entirely. But let's talk about infrastructure and scale, because this is where American exceptionalism becomes viscerally obvious. An American gas station isn't just pumps and a till. It's a small ecosystem. A convenience store with thousands of products, a food court, clean bathrooms anyone can access, loyalty programs.
The thing I really love about the gas, you can pay at the gas station right at your car. You don't have to pack everything. You don't have to get your kids out of the car, go inside, and then come back to just fill your gas. Like, you can just pay here. That's so convenient, and I would love that in Germany too. It's such a hustle to get like everyone out of the car, go inside, pay, and
A French tourist visiting a Bus-Ease gas station near Las Vegas, a 75,000 square foot facility that's part gas station, part department store, found themselves in genuine bemusement. Why does a gas station need this much space? Why 15 kinds of beef jerky? The answer is profit motive, but the effect on European visitors is awe mixed with disbelief. Then there are the highways. A Swedish family drove Interstate 5, an 8-lane stretch stretching for hundreds of miles across relatively flat terrain. It's a statement. America has decided moving people across vast distances efficiently is a priority, and it will dedicate enormous resources to make it happen. Would you rather drive 400 miles of open road with massive rest stops or navigate Europe's more congested highway systems?
Things I love about America as a British person. The first one is going to be, I feel America is less judgmental than the UK. And I feel like if you've lived in both places, you will know what I mean. In the UK, it's very common for people to make very snide comments if you're achieving something in life. You might hear them say, oh, well.
Most Europeans admit there's something seductive about American open road freedom, even if they critique the car dependency. The scale extends to nature itself. Yellowstone is larger than Luxembourg and Belgium combined. The Grand Canyon stretches 277 miles and nearly a mile deep. When a German couple visited these places, they spent days driving through landscapes operating on a different scale than anything in Europe. American nature is often raw, vast, and humbling. This isn't just geography. It's psychological. It shapes how Americans understand their place in the world. Then there's the economic reality. An American nurse earned nearly 40% more than her European counterpart for the same work. The cost of living was higher in some categories, but cheaper in others. Groceries, gas, utilities. The net effect was more disposable income and more ability to be generous. When you're not economically stressed, you have psychological space to be warm to strangers. You can buy someone a drink. You can help without calculating lost wages. But all this friendliness, abundance, and generosity is held together by something that baffles European observers: patriotism.
What it felt like for us to go home after 2 years of living in America. We booked a very short trip. It was 4 days to go home and see our family. It's actually so hard to put it into words what it feels like. I don't really know what I was expecting to feel, but when we landed and we were driving through the familiar streets of where I'm from, I didn't feel like it was home.
A French tourist attending a baseball game was taken aback by the emotional force of the national anthem. Thousands of people stood, hands on hearts, singing with genuine feeling. In modern Europe, this kind of flag-waving nationalism has been delegitimized by historical memory. But in America, patriotism is woven into ordinary life without irony. Small towns fly flags on Main Street. High schools hold pep rallies. The Pledge of Allegiance is recited in schools. These rituals would seem comical in European contexts, but they're deeply felt in America.
Mathematik, Science, Naturwissenschaften, Social Studies, Sozialkunde, History, Geschichte, PE, Sport, Art, Kunst, Literature, Literatur, Economics, Wirtschaft, Biology, Biologie, Chemistry, Chemie.
What's interesting is that American patriotism and individual freedom are ideologically intertwined in a way that allows ordinary people to feel personally invested in national greatness. When an American says they're proud to be American, they're not primarily talking about government policy. They're talking about something spiritual. The idea that America is a place where you can be yourself, pursue your dreams, where individual effort translates into success. A Danish visitor, struck by how locals referenced founding principles and the Constitution, discovered these aren't dry historical facts in the American imagination. They're living ideals that people genuinely believe in. This abundance extends to everyday American rituals. Food portions in restaurants are genuinely enormous compared to European standards. When an Italian tourist ordered a diner meal and received a plate clearly designed as 2 meals, they experienced cognitive dissonance. Is this generous or wasteful? The answer is both. American food culture assumes bigger is better, bigger signals value. Customers should leave feeling absolutely full. The tipping culture adds another layer. Tips are expected at 15 to 20% because servers earn below minimum wage. European visitors experience moral whiplash about this system. Yet the servers themselves often seem happier and more engaged because they have immediate economic incentive to care about satisfaction.
There are American foods that I am obsessed with as an Eastern European. Green bean casseroles. I tried one for the first time this year after living in the US for like 20 plus years. What even is it? And why is it so flippin' good? Oh my gosh, I am obsessed. Snickers salad, the one where it's like green apple and Snickers and like heavy whipping cream, or maybe it's Cool Whip, I'm not sure. But oh my gosh.
The drive-through culture compounds this. Everything has a drive-through: fast food, pharmacies, banks, coffee shops. For Europeans accustomed to pedestrian-friendly design, drive-throughs represent both impressive efficiency and car dependency. Yet the people working in these drive-throughs, teenagers at McDonald's, pharmacists, baristas, are often strikingly friendly. A Portuguese visitor working at an American coffee shop drive-through expected soul-crushing monotony, and instead found genuine human warmth embedded in an otherwise mechanical process.
I will try rib.
What ties all this together is a fundamentally optimistic view of human nature and American potential. Americans seem to believe things are getting better, that innovation will solve problems, that hard work pays off, that individuals can achieve their dreams. A Croatian research assistant at an American university was struck by career optimism. Her American colleagues talked about starting companies, pursuing patents, launching ventures, as though these were normal for regular people. In her European context, such ambitions required family wealth. In America, they required initiative and willingness to take risk. But it's important to note, this friendliness isn't universal or evenly distributed. When European tourists visit, they often visit places designed for tourism, national parks, major cities, tourist districts. They experience a curated version of America. They don't necessarily see homelessness crises, opioid epidemics in rural areas, racial inequalities in housing and policing, healthcare struggles. These are real aspects of American life that complicate the straightforward narrative. Yet the phenomenon remains genuine. European tourists frequently report being surprised by American friendliness, suggesting something real about cultural differences. When a Welsh traveler spent a month in Texas and blogged about their experiences, they devoted significant space to the fact that they'd expected harsh individualism and instead found surprising community and warmth. They attended church with locals, were invited to neighborhood gatherings, experienced social openness they hadn't anticipated. The gap between stereotype and lived experience is where the real story lies. Why are we seeing this now? Social media and YouTube travel videos make it easier for travelers to document experiences and share them online. When thousands of European visitors post similar observations about American friendliness, it shifts the cultural narrative. The ugly American stereotype persists, but it's contested by thousands of hours of video evidence showing something more nuanced. Another factor is selection bias. Europeans who travel to America tend to be relatively wealthy and open to new experiences. But they're also most likely to influence cultural perceptions in their home countries because they have platforms and social capital to share widely. There's also been genuine shift in how America presents itself. In an era when America's global standing has been challenged, personal cultural exchange matters more. It's not about policy, It's about fundamental human decency emerging when people from different cultures spend time together. The closing observation from European travelers is this: they arrived with preconceptions shaped by stereotypes and news cycles. They expected America to be loud, aggressive, superficial, self-centered. Instead, they encountered real people curious about them, generous with their time and resources, genuinely friendly without expecting anything in return. In interviews and blog posts and YouTube videos, these travelers often apologize for their preconceptions. They admit they were wrong. America is more generous and interesting than expected. Americans are more thoughtful and warm than the stereotype suggests. What this reveals is important about how we understand other countries. We're shaped by media narratives, political rhetoric, and stereotypes that can persist for decades. But we're capable of revising those understandings when we encounter direct evidence contradicting them. Europeans arriving as skeptics and leaving as believers undergo genuine cognitive shift. They're revising their mental maps of what America is.
No, we stay in the car. Like, we order from here.
They order through the menu.
Yeah.
Alright, what should I get? A slushy? I can put nerds in the slushy?
Yeah, you can literally do pretty much anything you want here.
Hiya, can I get the Sonic cheeseburger and some tater tots and cherry
The American assumption that strangers are basically friendly and trustworthy produces certain interactions. The European assumption that strangers maintain distance produces different ones. Neither is right or wrong. They're different ways of organizing society with different consequences. So here's the real question. If European travelers arriving skeptical or leaving impressed by friendliness and warmth, what does that say about the power of direct human experience to override cultural narratives? What does it say about how much of what we believe about other countries is based on stereotypes rather than lived experience? Maybe the antidote to cultural misunderstanding isn't more media or political discourse. Maybe it's exactly what these European travelers are doing. Actually going to places, meeting people, letting your preconceptions be challenged by reality. If this video resonates with you, like it, and subscribe for more deep dives into cultural collision and international travel. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. And thanks for watching. This video synthesizes publicly available traveler testimonies, YouTube reaction videos, and documented travel experiences. It's intended as entertainment and cultural analysis, not comprehensive sociology or absolute fact about entire nations. Individual experiences vary widely. This video does not represent official policy or the experiences of all Europeans or Americans. We encourage critical engagement and recognize that both America and Europe are complex, internally diverse societies that can't be reduced to stereotypes.